Alright. Okay. This is the last day. Chat. I also can see now. Ugh. I just ran down the stairs. Ugh. I'm not gonna lie. What the fuck is that float? What the fuck? Ah! YouTube, hold on. Start the multi-stream. There we go. Do you prefer you, Frecht? Or should I type your whole name? Don't fall on your ass again. I actually did fall down my stairs again. They don't have, like, a grip on the edge. Luckily, I only fell down the bottom step and kind of fell backwards into the stairs. So, not so bad as, you know, falling down half the stairs. I don't think I have a bruise, but I also haven't looked. Okay. Oh. I thought we went to the company. Did we not? Company. Confirm. I guess I'm going to go sell stuff. Why is it the last day? Why is it the last day? Also, hello, Blind. Look at you, all on time and stuff. I don't like that floating shit that was doing. Why is everything two-handed? Here's this. Tedious. Work? Can I sell the truck? What if I sold the truck? What if I sold the truck? Selling the stuff. Can you guys hear the music? Okay. Good. It's still going. That's good. It's good. It's good. Turn my game down a little bit. I don't need to hear this one that mad. Doop-de-doop-de-doop-doo. That has yet to explode. Hey! 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 Calm down. We've been live for like 2 minutes.
Your work keeps the company happy.
So impatient. I'm working on it here. I mean, it could explode. I'm sure there's something you guys can redeem for that. I hope it's expensive. Stop opening that. You stop it. Chat. Stop. Stop it. You're not gonna catch me. I can only do one of these at a time. Ugh. Wait. Is that enough? It is incredibly cheap. Oh. Oh, there is... And it is... not. Oh, great. Okay. This should... How much is it? 30? Maybe 2 engines? 2 engines? I swear I thought we took things to the company and sold it before we stopped. I feel like I should just sell all of it because I'm definitely gonna die. I am definitely gonna die.
honest work is invaluable to the company.
Why was that engine $3? Why was that engine only $3? Renji, what did you do to that engine that made it only $3? You're the only one who knows anything about cars that could have done anything. Did you fill it with blinker fluid? That doesn't go there. Stop! I might have messed up the bore for the pistons. I can't argue with that, so... Why did you do that? The block probably has rod knock. See, how do you expect me to know what all this shit that you're saying means if you don't do car-related content? You just do your drifty games sometimes. Not gonna lie, I hated racing games when I was a kid. I did like GTA, and only because I wanted to drive around and make my car all cool looking. And that's all I did. I'd drive around, somebody hit my car, I'd get out, I would give them an early ticket to the afterlife, and then I would continue driving. Is that an invitation to buy that garage game I sent you? Because it feels like an invitation. And it's still crimmy. I personally don't like racing games either. Racing sims? What's the difference? Did I... Oh, now you guys don't want to open the thing? Now you guys don't want to open? It's never an invitation to buy me anything. Too late. It is in motion. Surely they're not gonna make the profit huge, right? The quota huge. Time to leave. We have sold everything. Oh my god. There is so much money. Overtime bonus. 4 to 6. You know, if you guys wanted to lower that, that'd be cool. If you guys wanted to make that number smaller, you would be a real one. Alright, chat, pick a moon. Chat, pick a moon. Chat. Chat, pick a moon. Can you see him? Pick a moon, chat. Where are we going? Where are we going? I don't know how to access storage. We won't make the number smaller, but it might make your number larger if you buy an inverted teleporter to use. Huh? You want me to buy? I'm getting mixed signals. You want me to buy the mixed... Oh, hey, this thing. This is... I want that there. That there. You want... You want teleporter? What is inverse teleporter? Does that send me inside? Titan Moon if you have enough money for that. And inverted teleporter. How much is the... Oops. How much is the Titan Moon? Moons. Titan. I mean, technically we do. Inverse. I don't. If you teleport me inside, I'm not gonna know how to get back to the ship. Oh, can't go to Titan. Oops. I keep. Keep it in London. I can go to. How much is that one? I can go to Dine. But that's eclipsed. Europa? Oh, I'm fine with any then. He said he's fine with any moon, then I'm gonna go to the easy moon. Confirm. Why did you want this? What does it do? Beam me up, Scotty. Cannot beam up when we are up in the sky. Titan is the easy cash cow. Everything else is hard. Or his badge rewards. Why did they put this in the middle? Move it. How do you move this? Why won't it move? Why would you put that in the middle? Is it so people accidentally step on it? You can push this button. Alright. In we go. If you insist, we can go to Dine on the next moon. That sound fair? I don't think I've been to that one. I've been to Rent a few times. Rent's the cheap, expensive moon. The cheap bougie. Discount bougie. This rock. Very stubborn rock. In the way. Out there. No. Eh. You wanna fight? I don't. Goodbye. Where's... I'm fine. It's all fine. Stop! Randy! Ooh! Why? Chat, where's the emergency exit? Chat, where's the emergency exit? A travel companion? No. No. Is that it over there? Is it over there? Oh. Eek. This doesn't seem like a trap. An emergency. Emergency. Exit. Where is the emergency exit here? What is this? I don't want a jetpack. Why does it load like that? That is hard to steer. How are you supposed to steer that? I don't like that. I don't like it. It just immediately turns you upside down. It's like the stuff they give you that's supposed to be cool isn't actually cool or helpful. Dang, I think we have to go deal with whatever that thing is. Wumpus. This is heavy. It's heavy. I want it. I can't run with that. It's the last day, guys. See what's what. Might need to teleport in. I can't push the button on the teleporter, though. I can't move it towards the button. Can I push it and then run into the beam? You can move it. It also takes a few seconds to activate. I tried to move it. And has a large-ish range. Excuse me? What do you mean, a large range? Oh. Interesting. Where did you guys make me drop my flashlight? Where did you make me drop the flashlight? I can't see. When did you make me drop the flashlight? I'm flashlightless. There's mines and shit. Hey. It's the thingy. I don't know what that was. What am I stuck on? What am I stuck? What am I stuck? I'm stuck in. I'm stuck. Did you guys summon these creatures? Hey, get away from me. Get away! Get away! Get Bitch. What? Why didn't he go away? I looked at him, but I didn't look too long. That bastard. That rat bastard. I looked away, and when I looked away permanently, he snapped my damn neck anyway. Don't give me that shit. Shut the fuck up. Oh, now I don't have money. Why did I lose money? I mean, where did money go? I had 6 something. Does it take money when you die? That's bullshit. What happened to my money? No, I had 600 after the teleporter. Because I was like, oh, we can still go to dine. They took my fucking money. I had 1,100. This was like 4. There was 600 left. The math ain't mathin'. I can't even go to the other one because they took fucking money. What the fuck? That's bullshit. Now I'm just fucking pissed off. Ugh. I'm just irritated now. Ah! That's bullshit. They took just enough so I couldn't go to a moon with money. Just enough. Bastard. Alright, what's gonna be waiting behind door number 1? And happens to be the only door. Can we get a drum roll, please? Oh, goody. Smoky. Oh, that's even better. Stop it! I need this. I can't see shit in here. Error. Oh, great. This bitch. This bitch. Ugh. I remember this being fun. Perhaps I'm remembering incorrectly. Maybe it was just funny and not necessarily an enjoyable experience. There's a lot of doors that can be shut behind me. Alright. Yeah, fuck this moon. Or fuck, I don't know. Which way I came from. Hopefully this way. Good. Well, we got a tea kettle. That's good enough. I want to go to a moon I haven't been to before. Lethal is fun sometimes. Oh yeah, like the part where they take your money for no reason. That's so fun. So fun. Goodbye. Oh my gosh, keys. I'm trying to carve the wall. Carve the wall. I gotta see. C is passing, technically. What? What? Oh, look, we can go to Rend. That was interesting. Now. Lad. Frozen Rocky. This is the one where you have to follow the lights. Oh, I was about to say that. What the fuck? Oh, I can't take my flashlight on the teleporter. That's why. They should let me take a fucking flashlight at the very least. This shit's dark as fuck. Never seen the stairs. Oh, thanks. Appreciate. Wait, that wasn't the entrance? Oh. What the fuck? What is that? That mysterious circle. That was weird. The heck? That's crazy. Ooh. I think... Vent. I don't know which one I like less, mansion or mines. I don't like the mines. The mansion's cozy. It's very what is that? Use hairdryer. That is very noisy. I was trying to turn it off, but it would just turn it back on. Shh, chat. Be quiet. The good news is if there's a mimic, I'll know. And no, not because I'm crouched, because I'm the only one here. I'm all alone. That didn't sound very good or inviting. Oh, it's just the sound the door makes. Ugh! That looked like somebody was standing there. This is a lot of doors. What's that? Nope, 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 nope. No thanks. Pass. Double and give it to the next person. The loot bug not scary. The loot bug doing whatever the flip that was. Pass. You know, I've got this stuff. And oh my god. Oh my god. Is this a fake emergency exit? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's it. Golden planet. Where do we go to get out of here? Is that right? I've never found the emergency exit on this moon. Oh, there's a light. Follow this. Maybe. I feel like that was a trick light. Where am I going? Very lost. Look at our haul. That's so much stuff. For this moon is really close to the ship. Very rarely played this moon. Much less used the exit. Yeah, I've never seen that exit. Oh my god, there's a snowman. It is like very early on the path to the door. You hook right and the emergency exit is up a hill. That way? I don't like that one. I don't like that one. That one's too close. I suppose I should go back in, huh? I don't wanna. I don't wanna. Okay. Okay. You stay there. I will sit. I live here now. I live here now. I don't like that guy, the way he moves and his head bounces around. Don't like it. I don't like it. How does he even kill you? He ain't got no hands. Ugh. He barely got any cake. What is that? Oh, that's a problem, is what that is. I'm stuck. 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 You stupid! I am watching you! I can see you! Is this the entrance? For a chance? I think I found the exit. It still was with the stairs. Okay. Okay. I don't like that. Dang, that means it teleported me the first time right in front of this. Right in front of the stairs. Your life is in good hands. We've trained your... Oh, wow. For a second, I could actually read that. Your pilot to navigate even the most dangerous conditions. What pilot? Ship experiencing technical difficulties. Call 12 468 48 7395 7076 from your company issued phone. Mastermind is building for something. Mastermind scares me. Mastermind's got to have a ton of points of coins right now. A ton. Does it always break this tree? worse. What is it? Why is it worse? Wonderful, an eclipse moon. Let's go. I have to sneeze. Why'd you do that? If you can't have the car, no one can? Is this what that is? Oops. Oh. The game heard me say it don't like the mines. I'm going the other way. I'm going the other way. Oh, wonderful. This is completely useless to me as a solo person. Why does it feel like I'm traveling through somebody's lower intestines? Hello? Oh, 2 masks. Interesting. Well, I have stuff. There's a hole. I bet you break your bones. No, we have... This is rude. What is rude? Oh. Oh. Grazie. I did a wonderful job. Oh, I forgot that thing was out there. Renji helped? Oh, wow. Oh gosh. I squealed a little bit too soon. 1357, Jesus Christ. Expensive moons pay. They have more loot expenses. Alrighty. I'm sleeping. You guys excited for the the gingerbread house tomorrow. Gingerbread house. For sure. Oh, wait. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Yoink. Ew, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Hey, I can call that number and say that my ship is having technical difficulties. Dang, I gotta save my channel points now. Go miss tomorrow's stream. Time to go. Oh, hey, look, power. Come dump outside the exit for trips back and forth. What's that? Oh, it's a noisy robot. Oh my god, there's a lot in this room. What is that? Oh, that makes noise. I don't know what's coming out of there, but it can stay there. Still making noises. Ooh. I got the matching set. This was a dead end. What? Why? But why? But why? I do that. Nope. Nope. Pass. Double it, give it to the next person. No thanks. No thanks. That's not a noise I recognize. What the fuck was that? My stuff! No! What was that? We gotta get 800, Jet. 900. 900. Oh, just kidding. We're gonna go die now. Company confirmed. I will give them my keys. You know, you turn your keys in when you lose your job. Gotta turn the keys in. Gotta turn in my keys. I'm getting fired today. I'd rather be launched into space, and one of my biggest fears is the vacuum of fucking space. So personally, it's like it's like a reward. Alright, here you go. Cthulhu Daddy. Take it. Take my keys. Take them back! Get me. You can't, you won't! Take too long.
Your work keeps the company happy.
The fuck? It didn't even stick out its little tentacles. It didn't even stick out its little tentacles. What happens if you... It just puts it into cooldown? Imagine if it did teleport you inside. Imagine. Imagine. And you could just steal all the scrap you've already sold. And be like, damn, bro, we are set. Of course, you'd have to figure out how to get back out, because obviously, teleporters don't let you teleport with items. Because that's too easy. Whoop. Pushed the wrong button.
As you have not met the profit quota, your performance has been deemed below standard. Welcome to our disciplinary process.
Ah. Dang. Why is the suit rack permanent if when you die, it takes your suits anyway? I'm gonna pick you up, Biscuit. I gotta pick you up. Okay, she didn't scream at me. Ah, shut up! I've been here a time or two. Gosh. Foggy. Rooms. Fence. Confirm. Wouldn't it be nice if something da 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 da. I don't know the words of that song. Renji, tell them the words of the song. Guys, you know what's fun about getting your cat neutered? You have to look at his balls. Often. Every day. For 14 days. Ball inspection. I don't know anymore. That makes the story you told me twice as funny. I can see why it was super annoying now. Guys, Renji has such a little brother energy. Oh, that sounds like, no thanks. Hold on, I'm gonna... What am I supposed to do about this? Bitch! Oh gosh. I can't. You can see both. They're like one of three. I can't. Get the button! Get in this way. Alright, I'm stuck! Locked in! Okay. I can see his elbow now. Stop it! You stop, I can see you. I can just hit this button. I could just hit this button. If I could just hit this button. Why? Ah! Kill me. Why does that sound like there's another one? I didn't even do anything. What happened? I was looking at him. I think he glitched. Oh no. It doesn't even say you redeemed anything. I don't think you wasted coins. Don't worry. I think you're fine. I think you're fine. Alright. Can it hear me say I hate the mines? What is happening? Yeah, it did not tread though. I tried so hard to get that button. It would not let me. Like... You get the point exactly on it. Your invisible reticle has to touch it. Has to touch it. I wish I could put Coilhead in a bigger case, because he's like really on the naughty list. Permanent naughty list resident. Bees. 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 Sometimes I get stuck saying things and making noises. Like vocal stimming almost. I'm surprised some of us aren't on your naughty list. You want to be on the naughty list? Fucking... I'm surprised the Bracken isn't on there yet. Fucking bitch! Oh, hey. What I found. What is that? This dog. How many of these doors have I opened just for it to be a dead end? At this rate, the Bracken is the one making the list. Gremlin Santa bot. I'm not a bot! I don't want to go that way. It's dark. I'm gonna go the other way. If I have to run away really, really fast, that's gonna be awkward. Oh my god, a cup. Red Solo cup. Country music sucks. Why is it so poppy? It's supposed to be country. Goodbye. I'm gonna get a cup of bees. You guys want anything? You guys want anything? You guys want a cup of bees? You want a cup of bees? You want pocket bees? I got several kinds of bees. No bees. No bees! Why not? But the bees. Where are the bees? Why is the car still here? Why is the car still here? Why is this here? Why is the ejector seat still fine? Why is the ejector seat okay? There's something written on the side of the cruiser and I can't see what it is. And blueberries and raisins. But the bees are my favorite. They're crunchy. Crunchy bees. I don't know why I stuffed that in the corner. But the bees. Pocket Santa on one side, bees on the other. No, you know like how overalls got the little pocket up on the front? That's the bee pocket. And it's blueberries on one side and raisins on the other. There's also rocks with the blueberries, because rocks are cool. I get these. I didn't get the button. Get off of me. I'm gonna get these. You can't stop me. You can't stop me. I'm gonna get the... Babu snack lore is deep and stupid. You're stupid. Enemies! Enemies! Hep! 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 To the door! That's not fair! Why'd they follow me? My bees! Why did they follow me? Babu doesn't need a babysitter. Babu has fire. My bee! This is where I'd put my bees, if I had them. My bees! My bees! No! Why did they follow me? That was bullshit. Why is all the bullshit happening? Alright guys, I'm gonna give you a warning now. Get your coins in, get them used. We're going to be switching games soon. Some of the worst stuff wasn't even crowd control. Yeah, I know. I don't need things to nerf me, I nerf myself. Because I am what they call intellectually challenged. It looks like I can just walk around. Oh my god, you guys see that? The parkour was great. Good parkour. I'm so talented. God damn it! No! Do you think my neighbors think I'm dying all the time? What do you think they think I do? Oh no.
Report to
Silence! Don't tell me to halt. I do what I want to. You cannot stop me. You cannot stop me. I live here now. I live here, meow. Where am I going? The ship is taking me. Where? Help? What am I in? Hey, did you guys know this about the ship? What the fuck is this? What am I in? Oh my god. I'm in the truck. How did I get in the truck? That was weird. Anyway, I live here now. I live in here. Oh, it's dark. Really dark. Okay, maybe not in there. I'll live in the main building, that's fine. What happens if you run with the bees into the building? Why does my head hurt? Guys, do you guys want to see more Amnesia or do you want to see more Bendy? What are we playing after this? I have no clue. Oh, cool. The Bracken also lives here. I'm roommates with the Bracken now. That's wonderful. 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 I'm sure he won't snap my neck. Unless I miss rent. Why is there so much running around right now? What is that? What is it? Oh, this is my room. this thing? Oh, look at that thing. That be a Thumper thumping around. Damn, I have to share a house with Thumper and the Bracken. Ugh. The only thing that would make this worse is a spider. Alright, maybe I just live outside. The ship has a bed. I don't necessarily need to be in the building, right? I mean, the ship counts as a shelter. This is my emotional support Axel. His name is Axel. Not to be confused with the item that he is, but more like the Kingdom Hearts character. Okay, you guys got that? Axel is my friend. Oh, hold on. Let me just, Alright, Axel, you and me together. You guys even had sea salt ice cream? What is it? Or is that like rust or something? Renji, what kind of metal is Axel's made out of? Are they not gonna
As
kill
you
us?
have not met
Oh.
the profit quota, your performance has been deemed below standard. Welcome to our disciplinary process.
Axel abandoned me! Chat, I hate to say, but I think Axel and I aren't friends anymore. I think we may not be friends anymore. They just dipped out on me. Not entirely sure. They can be made of a few different types. Can you guys believe that? Why am I small?
Welcome
Uncrouch,
to your
please.
first day on the
Hello?
job.
Shut up! Silencio! Alright, chat. This is your 6 moon warning. Is this eclipsed? Is this gonna be eclipsed? Or is it immediately eclipsed when it's eclipsed? Who knows? I don't know. Let's go inside. Surely not everything will come around to fuck shit up in the immediate future. Present. Oh, that's locked. I wanna go to the door. Zed, hello. Oh. A key. Now I can go to that locked door. It's like a puzzle. Oh my god, another key. That's dumb. I could have parkoured. Well, I couldn't have. But parkouring was an option. Just for a dead fucking end? Open. Nothing. Nothing. Why am I fast? Too fast. Ugh. Ulysses! Stop breathing in my ear. It's weird. God damn it. Alright. You wanna fucking go? You will come do it in your own room. Puts me all out of breath. Nuh-uh. I ain't climb any stairs. Now I climb stairs. Ah! I don't know a lot about engines, but is it supposed to look like that? Are there supposed to be cables coming out of it? Why does it look like a bomb? I found an engine. That's a stoplight. 100%. Is it? Why is it all red? It's more like a stoplight, like, as in, it doesn't change other colors. Na 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 na, gonna repair the truck now. Probably gonna explode once I start it. 'Cause I don't know anything about cars. I'm sure it's fine. Hello? Hey, bye. It's all red because it is a stoplight, not a go light. Up the stairs. Up the stairs. Up the stairs. You know what's not fair? I can't do parkour, but the monsters around here can. That's bullshit. I think they should be debuffed. Oh my gosh. Slime? Oh my gosh, slime. It'd be hilarious. Monster slime. If it suddenly became a thing in the real world, imagine how many kids would try to play with it and die. What the fuck is that? Oh, it's a pipe. That scared the shit out of me. What the fuck? Ow. Take it. Okay, my emergency exit over there. No thanks. I'm leaving. If it was real, we'd lose whole generations. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. In D&D, there is a slime creature, and the second you touch it, it dissolves. It dissolves things. For some reason, not bone. Because, like, it's always depicted with bone sitting in it. But, like, soft, organic materials, disintegrated. Sophie, the goo you have, does it do that? No bones, because got enough calcium. Interesting. Since slime consumes blood as well, does that not make slime also vampire? Does it dissolve things? In a way, it more melts it down and fuses it into new matter, though. Okay. Listen, nerd. 40. 90. Oh. Wait. I miss Sophie's family while getting Linner. Darwinism would take care of all the monster furs. Would that be a loss? Furs? What you mean, fur? Boots with the fur? What? Means offense. No. March. March. What is Leonard? What do you mean Leonard? The fuck is Leonard? Wait a damn minute. Please? Lunch, dinner. I didn't eat anything. That's why we eat the pizza. Yeah, it's like pre-dinner. It's like dunch. What is dunch? Dinner and lunch. Wait, but lunch doesn't come after dinner. God damn it! I don't know what happened with my voice just now. What? Oh. I see it. Oh, a singular light. That's lovely. Darkness. Light and darkness. Or when you never stop eating. That turret, never know I was there. Oh, that turret. The grazing lifestyle. Wait, we're supposed to eat meals? Turglet. The turglet never knew I was there. It would if I went this way. Excuse me? Sputer? Oh. I found this. This is new. Alright, chat. Which way did we go? Not that way. This way? This is a shut door, Ulysses. We went in a circle. Wait, this way? That way? Ooh. Got it. I got a fish. Not going where I pointed. I went where you pointed. Was a dead end. There's no way to continue to go that way. But it is not my fault. Guys, how many moons have we been on? I feel like it was 3, but I also don't know. Dang, I need one more item. What? Oh, was it? You're a liar. No. One more? Sophie said there's only one more moon. One more moon. Get your points in. Your coins. No, one more item. No, one more moon. Sophie has spoken. Who am I to deny the goo? Who am I to deny the space goo? This moon likes to trick you and make you think it's really dark. Na 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 na. I just drank. You want another drink? Zed, that was rude. I purposely pick a one that doesn't have a status effect. And you make it rain cats and dogs and there's water everywhere. That's not good for my circuitry. It was rude. Rude. Just one item, just one item, just one. Cool, we can fucking leave. Let's go. A turret saw me. Let's get the heck out of here. I'm not a robot. Off we go. Whoa, did you see that? The thing dipped down? What happens if I stand in the door? It teleports me very far away. Zed, you get to be on the naughty list for making it rain. In a not fun way.
Report to the company building immediately to sell your scrap metal and other goods. You have 0 days left to meet the profit quota.
Rain.
You can use the terminal to route the autopilot
There you
to
go.
the company building.
Naughty list. No Christmas for you. Company. Confirm. Naughty list. That. Ah! I'm asleep. I didn't make any coffee. No coffee. Stop opening that. Ulysses? Why does this say spawn ghost girl? Ulysses? Ulysses? Wide technique. I chose flood and was very dissatisfied with how little it flooded. Well, I wasn't there very long. Why does that keep opening, like, immediately?
Your honest work is invaluable.
You still have 3 moons left. I was joking. What, is it not gonna open now? Don't give me the sus eyes. The sus elf. Elf on the shelf. We didn't even need a whole item. We only needed $2. You gaslit me. Well, how does it feel, Ulysses? You're like a master gaslighter. You're such a gaslighter. People use you to start their stoves. And their campfires. Oh my god, that axle was crazy. Alright. 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 I gotta wait until it... Hi, Eddie. Welcome. Tips for the job. Use the terminal. Read the manual. Watch the clock. And stick together. Don't miss the quota. My eyeball. Ow. Alright. Moon time. This one's for you, Zed. You can see how fast it floods. Makes it really hard to get back to the goddamn ship, but here we go. Wow, look at this. Fuck, this one's worse because you have to go like all the way around. So basically we can't... Ah! This is why we eat bees. This is why we eat the bees. God damn it! I think the reason... Why is it so noisy? To take their electrical charge as fuel? No, because bees are crunchy. And the bees are stinky. Why is it so loud? Why is it loud? I don't like that door. Bad vibes. Ah, damn. Alright. Alright. Other door. Other door! I got an owie. I didn't even do anything and the bees that hurt me. More like circuit wasps. Ooh. Dang, if I hadn't sold the engine and the axle, Renji could have fixed the car. What was that? I don't like how this looks like the void. You got anything in here? Ooh, you do. A double dustpan. Dope. Let's get the hell out of here. Time to leave. stay down. Time to leave. All this stuff I have, 35 pounds for some reason. For some reason. Ugh. Bad time for rain. Always bad time for rain. Those pumpkins. Oh, nice. Pretty watery down there. That was fast. That was like fucking fast. No. Why is that fair? How? How is that fair? The bees bite back. They don't even bite. That's the problem. It's not even the same. I've been demoted to part-time. My stuff! Alright. 2 moons left. Got offense. See, it took money from me again. Oh, insurance. They take your actual money. What? Stupid. Don't do that. They took a lot of money from the other one. That was $100. I lost $100. Hazard level B. As in bees. Goddamn bees. Da 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 da. Imagine if there was a redeem you can do and it changes. Insurance taking all your money is probably the only realistic thing about this game. Yeah, like the fact that it expects you to go back to the company with scrap after they gave you a spaceship and not just live somewhere else away from the company's grasp. Also, the company not taking care or caring about your safety and just wants you to meet the quota is pretty realistic too. Got my flask back. It's freaking empty. I don't know, goddamn key. Oh. Toilet paper. Ooh. Present. I don't know the way back. I stole their Christmas. I stole it. What was that noise? Does that put you on the naughty list? No. I'm Santa. I can take the presents back. You see my hat? I got an official job to do. Got official job. Present roulette. Ugh. Official job. Wow. That's the same number as up there. Alright. Wins. No. Alright, chat. Last call. Last call. Means March confirm. That's a lot of points. Ulysses. I'll put your name up there too. I'm just warning you. I'll be getting coal for Christmas. And not even coal you can use. Used coal. Just enough to do like 2 things. What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't want this, it's heavy! That's all it does, Sophie. That's the thing is... Okay, I showed you what it does. I can't... gives me motion sickness a little bit. It's also really fucking heavy. Why is the vents open already? I step foot in and it's just like... What is that? You got spiky spikes? It's a weird place to put that, don't you think? Stop breathing in my ear. Oh, why am I slow? Why? Ulysses! Feels like I'm running in place. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is painful. Okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. Now it feels like regular running is really fast. Is it really fast? No. Did you try to spawn the ghost girl again? I thought I heard a voice. The shots we might be cursed. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. I have never experienced the ghost girl myself, and, yeah, I don't like that. I don't fucking like that. I don't fucking like that. I'm out. Fuck that. Nope. How do I leave? I'm done. I quit. I don't want to work for the company anymore. There's a bracken too. That's lovely. Lovely. I would have stepped on the mine. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. She can't sneak up on me if I'm watching doors, right? Ah! I should have stepped on the mine. Oh gosh. Ahem. Oh, my soul feels broken. I feel broken at the level of the soul. You know what, Ulysses? You know what? You know what, Ulysses? You get to be at the top. You are above Spider. You were the top. Ulysses. You were at the top of the naughty list, okay? Okay? That's where you belong. You belong at the top. At the top. That scream hurt my throat. And with that, we're done with ground control for the week. I will be right back. We're moving on. Whoops. We're gonna do... Whoops. Amnesia. Once it opens. Amnesia. Time. Alrighty. Ugh. I don't like the ghost girl. I think I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. The ghost girl is the worst. How rare is the ghost girl? I feel like I've played a lot of Lethal to have not seen the ghost girl ever, personally. Rare and only on hard moons. Wonderful. That's nice. I can hear the game, but I cannot see it. No one else can see her? That's lovely. That's lovely. Why can I not see this game? Hello? Why is Amnesia not capturing? I think someone had the ghost girl when we were... Probably Wolf. I think he was too calm about it. Now that I've experienced it... my voice is a little fucked up. Now that I've experienced it... I gotta say, Wolf, too calm. Excuse me, please capture the game. Why are you not capturing the game? Hold on, I might have to reopen it. Well, maybe we'll play something else if it doesn't want to work. These old games, man. They give me a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Okay, still not capturing. Oh my god, you're pissing me off. Why? Hello? You piece of crap. Ugh. Nope, still not working. Well, just kidding. We're gonna play something else then. I'm not fucking fighting it. Stop. Bendy. Let's see if that works, and then I'll update the stream information. Stream information. Annoyingly, it picked up the audio, so it knew where the window was. It's just not wanting to put... There we go. I guess it wants us to play Bendy. Alright. Let's fight the ink demon. Nice, 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 nice. Where's the category? Bendy. Alright. Let's begin. If you guys ever have felt your soul leave your body, this seems further back than what I was. This seems further back than what I was. Block or something. Hello. Stop touching me, God. Charge up this doohickey. I don't know what I'm doing. Pass through artist rest to the elevators, get to the upper levels. Okay, that. Oh yeah, we were trying to figure out how the hell we get up somewhere. Wait, it didn't fucking save when I saved it. Because we had already moved that thing. It definitely is further back than what we were. Make sure there's nothing else. Get away! Bitch. Alright. We have confirmed there is nothing in here. I need a fucking sandwich or something. That is not food. Ugh. There's a vending machine, isn't there? Like in here? Excuse me? Open. There. Oh, that's good. Fuck off. I don't have the health for you guys to be hitting me. God. What the? Stop! Why you just manifest out of things? God. My God. Oh, hey, look, a battery. Fucking flashing lights is too much. I need a healing item. God damn it. It was healing me when I dissolved the ink creatures, but now it's like, no. God, fuck. What the fuck is that? Of course. You can't see me. I'm in a barrel. Okay, out. Why did this game fuck me over? Don't worry, the game will save for you. No, it didn't.
I did.
Oh, great. Leave me alone. Don't touch me. See, that's not healing me when I dissolve them anymore. Because it switched to this thing, and now I can't heal. Well, we're fucked anyway. Might as well just continue this stupid fucking game. Ugh. Fuck off. You're not being scary, you're being irritating. I failed to see how that was my fault. Cool. I still need healing. Where am I? Where the fuck am I now? Where'd the thing go? Oh. Can I pull that back? Oh, now it, you see how it went up that time? What the fuck? Did he say eat his balls? What did he say? Fuck off. Stop biting my ankles with your head teeth. Go away. Can't jump. It's saying I'm jumping, but I'm not. Cause that's too far. What is that? Really? Are you fucking kidding me? This game is pissing me the fuck off. Why is it randomized?
This isn't happening. This isn't.
This game is fucking stupid. Look at that! Fell the same fucking height! Didn't hurt me this time! would like to fucking know what you want me to do. I would also like you to stop popping up enemies when the health doesn't come back, but the enemies come back. Why? This is supposedly easy. I failed to see the fun in this game. I failed to see any fun or joy. Would you fucking stop? Every fucking step I take, there's some shit! I don't fucking know what I have. Oh. We were doing BioShock, still need to finish Elden Ring, but I do not have the capacity for Elden Ring. It's not even scary, it's just fucking frustrating. Why is it every step I am taking, something is happening? Yeah, it doesn't, you can't do anything else after you've moved it. Which is stupid. Like, what am I supposed to, how am I supposed to get over there? Because theoretically, this balcony, I could, like, zoop over that way. Through this, right? Except, that's flat. Cannot zoop. It wants me there. But I don't know how to get to the upper beds. I have to come out that. But I don't know how to get there. I have not been up there ever. Oh, and the railing can zoop through. Can ink through. This fence, this thin fence, no. It is not hard to make your shit make sense, at the very least. Like, that one, at least that one's broken.
The next person I see, I'm going to rip them apart.
This is just fucking lost and found. It's not active. Ow. Fucking pop out of this thing. See, this is supposed to be sleep area, right? Where is the up? Where up? Fuck off. Told you to fuck off. Somebody tells you to fuck off and you get hit in the face with a fucking pipe, it's your fucking fault. Like, where are they even coming from? Hmm? Just relax. Just relax. There's no way to beds from down here. How could I almost get up there, but I can't get up there? Riddle me that. Huh? Huh? I'm pretty sure I was not supposed to do it that way. There's a stupid elevator. Guys, we finished chapter fucking 2. I died after I charged. Neat. I found a cheese. How many chapters is this game? How many chapters of torture is this? I feel like that's a valid question. Battery refill. My throat hurts. Machine must endure. Should have gone to those upper beds and seen where they let out. See where you were supposed to find it. Unless that was the intentional method. If that was the intentional method, that's really fucking stupid. I had to jump on a bench to reach. Because I had tried that previously. The only reason I got into it now is because I was standing on a stupid bench. What is this? A peak. Yeah, that last one kind of hurt. Shut up, Wilson. I'm reading. We're in and out like rats scurrying all over the place. People shoving and pushing. The way this elevator system is set up, you'd think we had only 10 employees working here. At any time of the day. This hall is full of people waiting to go up. Right around quitting time, you're going to have to grab a magazine and wait your turn. Just goes to show that Joey Drew Studios really did grow too much too fast. But I hear there's more than one way to escape this rat's maze. I'm going to do some asking around.
Will be taken immediately to the pit. So be aware. Follow the rules.
It's the cow. Battery. Why does this game just suddenly turn me around like that? I will recharge this thing again, I think. Recharge it. For a battery. Battery. Tell me what to do. I'll work unhappy. Thank you very much. Boss me. Shove it in there. Ooh. Mattress. Disease.
Brought to you by Jen.
Okay. Recharge this again. Does this do additional damage if it's charged? I don't recall. If it doesn't, that's stupid. My dog looked at me. Is there an inventory system with item descriptions? For some reason it needs full charge. That implies that there can be a partial charge, and when you unlock something it takes the full charge, so... Oh, it's a stupid doll. Just checking. Make sure it was empty. Or raisins! What is making that noise? That would be what the noise is. Oh. What? What do you mean he's coming? Wait. I'm just gonna hang out in here for just a second, make sure it's actually over. Because we all know that guy's a jerk and a liar. I know that particular character didn't do anything. But still. Hey. Die often. I'm kind of a pro at it. Not even any elevator music. This place is shit, huh? You know, I read this note. It kind of felt like it implied that the elevator is like the size in Lethal Company. Where is my pipe? They forgot they can just respawn at half health for free, SMH. Where'd my pipe go?
Unauthorized surface elevator in use. Manual lift injection activated.
Pardon? Pardon? Jump when it hits! Jump when it hits! Okay, we're fine. Dang, so close. Oh. Oh, there it goes. Oh. Well, there's my pipe. Okay, out. Out. Cannot use during combat. What am I combating? What am I... Oh, this? This? I can't interact with it. I cannot interact with it. Am I supposed to hit it? Okay, I'm supposed to hit it. I've hit them all. Excuse me. What do you want? What do you want? I hit the things. I hit the things, and you're not letting anything happen. What do you want? Is there supposed to be a particular order? 'Cause that's stupid. They are undoing themselves. What? What? There's not much faster I can hit them. Oh, now it's decided to do them. Stop touching me! Shit! What am I supposed to do with that? What am I doing with that? Am I supposed to hit it? Yeah. They're worse than a spider. You know that? Unnecessary. Where'd it go? You pissed me off! Die! Ew. It exhaled from my face. Why would it make you do it in a specific order in that kind of scenario? That's stupid and cheap. Because poor design, unnecessary fake challenge. Yep. Second niece twice removed has been slain. Golem? Who's Golem? Hello!
Alice? Are you there? Alice?
Audrey, where are you?
I fell.
It's dark.
Dad, I'm hungry. Get out of my face.
Wait there. I'm coming to find you. Just don't move.
First boss in Ocarina of Time. Dude, that was so long ago. I was like 12. Maybe 10. Hold on, I gotta turn off the this extension. So it's not in your guys' face. How do I turn it off? Install. There we go. That fix it. Oh no, it's still there. It's gone. It's still on my screen. It needs to refresh. Okay. For some reason in the stream dashboard, it shows me all of the doohickeys. Oh, hey buddy. Alright, that's fair. You think he's seen me smash the, what do you mean, SMH? Because I don't remember something from when I was 10? 10 was a rough time, okay? No. Just spitting out the babies. Just spitting out the little babies. Kill him. Alright guys, going down the shaft. I was about to jump, but I guess we'll use the ladder. He knows for sure. Oh, I don't like that. Don't like this. Ew, I really don't like that.
I believe there's something special in all of us. Especially you, Audrey.
Who are you?
Don't you know me? Take a good look.
Aren't you?
Joey Drew? In the flesh. Well, so to speak. Come on up. Let's take a little walk. There's something I want to show you.
I don't like the lily pads implying, water monster stuff. Just saying. Don't like that, what that implies. I don't like it. Ooh, I don't trust you.
There you go. Follow me. But mind your step.
It might be a frog. Invisible frog. Fake frog.
I should know. I've worked here a long time.
Mr. Drew?
Joey, please.
Joey.
Mr. Joey
What
Drew.
is this place? The studio. These monsters. Am I dreaming?
It's a cycle, Audrey.
Dream,
An ink-stained nightmare. Forever stuck on repeat. With
Close
just a
your
pencil and
eyes,
a
shut
dream,
your mouth,
and with
dream a
little
dream
help
and
from
get
the
us
Jet
out.
Corporation,
Dream,
came
dream,
to
dream,
be.
dream, dream,
From what
dream.
I gather, It exists in parallel with the
Dun,
outside
dun, dun,
world,
despair,
but
there's
completely
darkness
removed
in
from
the
the march
air.
of time.
Dream, dream,
Like a
dream,
record
dream,
played
dream,
over and
dream.
over again. It's begun to crumble, wear down. This studio is a monument to choosing the wrong road.
Who's he looking
Now,
at?
whether it was built for revenge or regret,
Okay.
I don't know.
Make eye contact.
That's
No,
mine
I don't want to make eye
solve.
contact. Thank you. Eye contact's icky.
The truth is, Audrey,
Looking at you in
someone
the
out there is
past.
messing with what's in here. Bad things have begun
Guys,
to
he's got a
emerge from
flat
the
ass. Look at that.
creatures that never came
Bro
from
is sitting
my
on
path.
straight bone. Hey,
The worst
hold
ones
on.
Call themselves keepers.
Hold that thought.
Dangerous,
I'm gonna.
deadly folks. They've
Okay, I
taken
can't
over
do
the old
shit right
gent
now,
workshop
actually.
just beyond
Ooh,
the sewers,
you have food.
trying to bring what they call order to this world, freezing the cycle in place,
Mm-hmm.
changing the script. Whatever answers you're looking for, you'll find them there.
The answer I'm looking for is how to get out. I'm gonna read this. Every great story begins in mystery. Although things may be dark at the start, the truth will illuminate your way. Don't be afraid of who you are. Fear only what you may become and banish it away. What? Fear what you become? I probably shouldn't eat those crackers, but I did. Alright, now what?
Look, above all, never forget. You're here for a reason, Audrey. There's always
Yeah, the
a
reason is I somehow got
Even when
stuck.
you can't
Isekai.
You made this world. Why can't you fix it?
Because I'm not the man. I'm just the memory.
What a cringe way to disappear. Bro thinks he's cool, but he's cringe. Oh, look at this pinky. Oh. Well, obviously he's dead. You don't have to show me his tomb. He had ink all over him. I'm not that stupid. Close your eyes, shut your mouth, dream a dream and get us out. Don't ever lose hope. When in doubt, the answer you seek is usually nearby. We all have dreams, ghosts in our past, but those ghosts can give us the path forward. I don't want forward, I want up. Out. Up and out. Oh. Hi, hey bud. Wait. Listen, I just want to talk with my pipe. I don't think he wants to talk to my pipe. This seems to be happening a lot. Running into the little guy or people not wanting to talk to my pipe? Yes. That didn't answer the question. Can I upgrade this now? Upgrade. Now, zap the enemies. Shock pipe. Dope. Use tab when you're... What? Tab? Tab as attack? Nani? What do you fucking mean tab? Alright. I suppose it's time to pull this lever. I pulled the lever. Unsafe area. Stay dead. Yeah, I wish they would. Shit. tabbing between power mode and normal mode. That's a weird, weird button for it. Weird button. Open. Thank you. He was hiding secrets. Bacon soup? Do you think it's actually soup or is it ink like everything else? Money? Why does that say poison? Security override. Half soup, half ink.
Turns out I've gotten so accustomed to working in those disgusting conditions that now if my office doesn't stink, the lyrics I write do. So when gents started digging their massive utility shaft between their place and ours, I knew it'd be just the right spot for me to move in.
A spider skull seems worse than skull, to be honest. Nothing's in there. We checked it. The closet's empty. Lord Amok rules. Generally, yeah, lords tend to rule over things. It'd be more strange if they did not. No? Security. I did the override. There must be another one I gotta find. 2 overrides. Open. Money. Okay, let's find the other lever. Crunk. Pull the lever. Fucking hell, man. This ink demon is a bitch. Kind of. Wrong lever. Apparently, people pulled the ink demon lever. Question. Where's the other lever? Did I go in the store? No. Ooh. Wow. Nothing in there. Let me just stuff my fist into this. I feel like I need help more than anything. Do you guys see a lever in here? Because that said security lock, but I didn't see anything. Apparently, yes. I didn't see a security lock in here. Ooh, I missed. I called this a garage. Just not out loud. Where's the lock? You said security lock. There ain't no security lock in here. You liar. Somebody mislabeled this door. Oh, I thought that said search, not hide. Also a hide. Was there one in there? Well, I got that one. Am confused. Much confusion. Much confusion indeed. See, this one says secure. No, it doesn't. But why is the override over here? I flipped it. It didn't flip back. Cannot interact more. Nanny. Good night. Give me it. Hide. Lock. Shiny. They designed this big tunnel to link their new Gent building to Joey Drew Studios. They want to keep labor parts flowing between them. I don't think they fully knew what they was actually creating here. When workers are heading through the shaft, you gotta drain the center duct into the overflow, but when they're gone, you flood it again. Any schmuck can do it, even if they're not an engineer. But the main thing is you gotta make sure all the duct hatches are all open. Once they're open, the overflow can drain back and forth between the two ducts. Simple stuff, but a bit complicated when you're working by yourself. Are you telling me there's time shit? I don't want to do time shit. I don't have time for the time shit. Be honest. How many people like time trials? Show of hands, who sees a time trial and goes, oh my gosh, a time trial. I love these. I'm so excited to do this. Show of hands. Raise them. Out yourself. Come on. Admit out loud for the world to see. Depends on the game. Ulysses, of course. Somehow that's not surprising. Right. You're like a timey thing going. Oh no, I didn't. I heard this door opening. I do a thing, he's gotta come sniffing around like some little dog. Some little dog, so curious. Gotta know what's happening. Why he can't help. Alrighty. I need to go down? Do I wanna? Will I not drown? Okay. Need to open that. Alright. Do that. go push the button again? Not this way. The other way! I mean, it said for it to work, they all had to be open. They're all open. I'm not understanding. Hey, hey! Ah! Why do you guys have hair? The fuck? Where you guys got hair? Oh, okay, I see. Okay, I got it. I get it. Why did they come all at once? What did I do? I didn't do anything. I just opened shit and flooded shit and I do this shit and I do that shit. But nothing to them. It's different. I ain't hurt nobody. Rude. What the fuck? I have to do it from over there. This seems like farther than what it lets me do. I feel like that's farther than what it normally does. Alright. And pull the lever, Krong. I don't know what that's doing. I don't know what that was. Do I need to go push the button again? What door was that? This door? Yeah! Oh, there's two of you here. Get off! You're rude. That opened a door somewhere, right? Leave me alone. Nice. Within our isolated walls, Lord Hummock reigns. The drips, the drops of the leaking world above cannot stop his rule. Those who oppose Amok's hand have their bodies crushed and fed to the narrow pipes that lead below into forgotten sewers under our feet. Those tunnels are even deeper, even darker than this one. This one's only suffering down there. But should anyone defeat Lord Amok, cast him out, down, our small kingdom will belong to the conqueror. This is the secret of Amok's immortality. Pass on the throne, pass on the name. Oh, I was about to say, I only drained that shit for a secret? You know how much damage I took? Let me recharge then. I'll do a little recharge. I forget, is this a... Okay, no, there's a save button. Yes. Manual save. Is that this not going to open? Is there another button or something? I suppose I should climb this. You guys. Heck you three. What's that? Tasty eats. Love food. That was a lie. Ah! Wait! I haven't found a hidey spot. Bro comes out when you're choking and dying, and it's just like, somebody is vulnerable. Fucking freak. Open. Where's Amok? Oh, this lever. I found it. Shut up. Shut up. Ooh, money. It's almost like the snack was free if you think about it. Excuse me. Coin? That was weird. The hitbox for that coin, very odd. Hello. Hi.
Behold, the stranger is upon us. Kill her. Kill her now.
I'm hitting tab. Tab wasn't doing anything. They made that seem like it would be harder. Hey, I'm your king now. That's what I thought. Fucking bow. How do I get out of here? How do I leave? You guys got food? My instant reaction of murder. I almost hit that guy.
Hail amok!
Okay. What was I? Ah, ooh, my gosh. Don't mind if I do. Money is for me and candy and snacks. Fucking sick. God damn it. Coin hitboxes. Oh my god, and parts? Wow. Shows up on the wrench. It burns one charge, then a second light shot up on the wrench, and when that drains, it runs out. Neat. Ah. You should be worried if the game gives you lots of stuff. No, no, no. I defeated the boss. This is reward. This is reward. It's more concerning that that was so easy. I almost died. What are you holding? What is that? Alright, whatever. I'm always sus about these rooms. Treasure rooms? Emergency shaft. Goodbye, fellas. Have a good one. How? Where go? Ugh. Neatly climbs down the ladder.
I see you, mine.
Stop doing the voice in my ear, you fucking perv. Why are you talking like that? I like that I can't hear him anymore. That's funny. Hello? I guess it's locked.
What in the world?
Excuse me, why does this sound like
How big is this place?
the start? Hey, bud.
Oh, it's you. Where did you come from? Look, I'm sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to hurt you. And I really don't think you want to hurt me either, right? Good.
Oh, now he speaks
Let's
my
be friends
language?
then, okay? What do you say? You and me? Awesome. Maybe you can help me. I'm looking for the old gent building.
I'm out of my drink.
What's wrong? Is it a bad place?
Just the two of you alone in a
It's
closed
okay.
off
I
room
won't
with a
let
wrench.
anything happen to you.
You want to
We'll
talk to
go
my
one step
shocky
at a
wrench?
time.
You guys want to talk
Just
to
you and
my
me.
little zappy zap
Let's see
wrench?
what
My
we
little
can find.
spicy wrench? It's a little tingly. You guys want to talk to my wrench? Can I bust these? No? Okay. It's not Sons of the Forest. I'm a little... it looks like I've used 2 charges. Surely they won't make me waste a battery to fill this up again. Picked up a little sister. Is it not a boy? Wait, what happened to this lights? Okay, I can't rifle through that trash can. Search. Food. Bust open. Whoa. What the fuck? That, like, disappeared out of existence. I like that he sits on a bench and I am like... Knock, knock. Ooh, creepy music. Soup. Hide box. Coffee. And donut for 15 cents. Coffee and donut for 15 cents? Why are they... That says wash and this says toys. Does everybody offer coffee and donuts? Hello? Little sister is a thing in Bioshock 1 and 2. Bendy is probably a little guy, though I have no idea if it is specified. Wow, they are really overcharging. What? 15 cents for both coffee and a donut? If somebody charged you 15 cents for a coffee and a donut, it would be one that they dug out of the trash, and then the coffee would actually be sewer water. And then they'd just be like, if you're thirsty, you would drink it. Guess you're not that thirsty. Clean water is a luxury.
Any ideas, Bendy?
Back in my day, it used to be 10 cents. Damn, you're way older than I thought you were. Find an ID card. Oh, I was searching things. I see no damn ID card. Please do not litter. I got some bad news for you. They definitely littered. Are you searching that one? Yeah, I was coming.
Maybe it's somewhere else.
Empty.
There's nothing in here. Sorry, Bendy.
Not open that one. He's telling me to open something else now, huh? I just tried to open it. I gotta wait for him to point to something. This one?
There's nothing in here. Sorry, Bendy.
I tried looking in these.
Nope. Not in here.
Should I be concerned of whatever that was? Bendy, you want to point to this one so I can magically lift the lid? Trunk? Why are there cars here? It's...
Nothing in here.
Bendy.
Let's keep looking.
Come point to this trash can, please. Bendy, point to this one. Bendy! Bendy! Bendy boo. So a pound of coffee cost 33 cents when this area was built in game. The future has arrived. I just didn't know it would get here so soon. Some of the stuff that's coming out of Jin doesn't follow any of the rules of physics that I know. Hard to believe that they started as a bricklaying company once upon a time. Nowadays, we have all the modern conveniences and, worse yet, the headaches. Take that ID card machine that they've got at the door. You don't bring your ID, you ain't getting to work. So I started putting my ID card on my nightstand in my room at the Downside Hotel. That's not the safest place, but at least I know where it is.
Looks like we found a clue.
Yes, the pharmacy. Drugs. Groceries.
Oh yeah? I'll just start my own place.
What are you doing shit for? Bitch. I could have been a loyal customer. I wasted a charge. Now I could use a charge station. This is meat products. Ching ching. That guy was an asshole. What's the likelihood of getting a recharge station around here? Mailbox. Nothing. Pardon me, would you like to see my thing? Where'd Bendy go? Were you hiding? Where are you hiding? Hey, there's a hotel. You know why it's called a hotel? It stands for hospitality. You thought. You thought.
It's kind of creepy in here.
In here specifically, it's creepy. In here. The elevator is broken. Why do they only have an elevator? Where is the emergency stairs? Knock knock. Did I come from that way? I did. I found the hotel. The elevator is broken. You think this place follows proper protocol? Code? No. That's a ding. Hello? How do I get in? What? How do I get in? Bendy's big vacation. Hey, you spent all this time making the cartoons of Bendy? Well, come watch them in the cinema, in the place where you are in... What are those things called? Where the business, like, basically owns you. Excuse me, do you know how to get into the Downside Hotel? The beef is people. That sounds tasty. Questionably. How am I supposed to get into... Is it hotel? The elevator no work when the door lock. The hitbox on me is too large. Slavery. Yeah, but there's a different word for that. They try to use a different word. Like a company town or something like that. Guys, explain what I'm missing at the Downside Hotel. What am I doing wrong? Door? There's only a fake door and a broken elevator. What am I supposed to do? There's no back door. This says go in here. I went in here and they didn't say shit. Oh! Well, that's not obvious. God damn it. Not obvious enough. It should be glowing like my hand does. This takes way too long to charge. Oh, fucking hell. What the fuck do you want from me, huh? Well, I know it said up, but I thought it was just regular graffiti. They could have painted it yellow. Yellow means gamer, go up, player, this way. Not black. Money. Donut. See, that's not even a trash donut. That's a pretty decent looking... I thought I didn't have a head. Bro didn't tell me which room was his. Doors. Oh. See, this time they didn't even put an arrow. Got it.
Jeez, you haven't gone
Oh my
far.
god.
Don't do that.
Every room is his. You look like a droid straight out of Star Wars for a moment with that
I
shit.
have my ways. So tell me, how goes the journey?
Slow, but I'll get to it.
I see you have your father's never-quit go-getter spirit.
Oh, now you knew my father. Well, newsflash, I didn't even know my father. Or my mother. Or anyone else in my family.
Who talks
I
with their
see that.
hands like that?
You've chosen to forget the past.
I don't have anything to hydrate with, Ulysses.
What are you talking about?
My drink has been empty for the last
I don't
20
think you're
minutes.
ready for this. But hang on to your lunch money. There's something I want to show you.
Wait.
What are you doing? What are you doing? He touched me. Someone needs a bigger cup. Well, joke's on you, it was a can.
All right, Joey. I'm here. Let's see if we can find what you wanted me to see.
Over here. Come have a seat. This won't take long.
Are you showing me a movie? Did we teleport?
Where are we?
A very old place. Full of memories. But never mind all that. There's a little story you need to hear. You ready? Here we go. Once upon a time, Audrey, there was a bitter old man who had lost just about everything.
Joey.
Right. The real Joe Drew. He blamed everyone but himself for his mistakes, but mostly
Aren't
he
you
blamed
just a
his old
reflection of
business
him?
partner for abandoning their work years and years ago. A man by the name of Henry Stein. Great artist, and a good friend. In his anger, Joey used an evil machine to create another world. A world made of paper.
So you agree it's evil.
Where he'd torment his own version of Henry forevermore. But one day, a miracle happened. An angel came into Joe's life. A young woman by the name of Allison Bendy. She didn't visit often, but when she did, she saw something good in Joey no one else could, including himself. Through their friendship, he began to see the world with better eyes. So one day,
is that my parent?
Joey's cartoon cycle of hatred, he gave Henry an angel of his own to guide him when things were most dark, to always provide hope. It was then Joey decided to make something new. Something he had always wanted, but he could never have. A family. But not a cartoon one. Something real. And after many, many tries, he created something that made him happier than he ever could have imagined. A wonderful, loving daughter. Bright, kind, almost human. He created you, Audrey.
What?
I don't have a mother.
Listen.
This is
I know
wonderful.
it's a lot to believe.
Who do you think you are? I wasn't born from some machine. Flesh and blood.
Are you sure about that?
Some kind of ink monster.
Just because we're born of darkness doesn't mean we belong to
The ink
it.
is your mother.
We're always
Okay.
free to choose.
Ew.
To believe what we want to believe.
That still
Take me
explains a
there.
lot.
Right now. I'm not listening to any more of your lies.
Remember who you are, Audrey.
Leave me alone.
We'll let him touch our head, but he can't touch our hand.
It's not true. It can't be.
I mean, do you have any proof that it isn't? It's not like you know anybody.
Brought to you by Jenny.
That card, that one was a bust. That cabinet sucked. The keepers see everything. Who are the keepers? Open it. Bendy! Should I use this? No, I shouldn't have. Bendy? Bendy? Bendy. Well, might as well go eat that snack I paid for. What did the announcer say? They're stupid? Ooh. Oh my god, the flashing. What? Where's the buttery? Where's Bendy? Where'd he go? Where's that little devil at? Guys, does this look like a people to you? That looks like a screw cap. Ham-shaped water bottle. Suck it, bitch. That's a ham slab wrapped up. Yeah, but the sign said it was made out of people. It didn't look like a people cut to me. We are the keepers. Oh my god. Hello, I'm just gonna... Yeah! Ow! He tune, he'll pop up when he need be. That traitor. Oh my god. Did you guys see that? You got.
I don't like to ask questions. I believe everyone's got their own business. You hear something, you leave it alone. But when you spent as much time in and out of a chug as I have, you learn to keep your mouth shut about things, you know? So when I saw this here ad in the newspaper that reads, Gent Corporation looking for research subjects pays $3.50
Small
a week.
Bendy was Big Bendy
it'd
all
be good for
along,
me.
so it ain't
Easy
so.
money, right? With my record,
Bendy is the
you can't
demon. He's
afford
not
to
the
be
devil,
busy.
he's the demon.
But turns out something really wrong is going
This
on in
is a lot of
place.
corpses.
I mean,
Should I
I've
be
seen dead
concerned?
people before, but
At what
here,
point are we
there's
concerned
like a
about the
way
number of
life,
corpses?
a clockwork march. They wheel
Ah,
out the bodies
shit.
and they disappear down the chute. Forgotten men from the street, paid to die. $3.50 a week.
Door code 523. Wait, was that 3? Yeah. Nah, it's fine. Normal even. 5, 2, 3. I am getting really hungry. Please have your identification. Excuse me. Pardon? Anomaly. Why do you sound like that? I'm not a what, I'm Audrey. And that's a little more philosophical, and we don't have all day.
I'm not here to cause you any trouble. Look, I just want to go home. Please, can you help
Do you
me?
think home was a hallucination this whole time?
I'm sure we can reach an agreement. Let's just talk. Who are you?
Obviously, you see the signs everywhere. Just bust open that pipe now. There's another one over there. This one's dark.
Where did you come from?
Is that a breakable one? I know this one's breakable.
Who made you?
Do you think Wilson's our dad and not
You wanted me to find him.
Joey? What if they're both our dads? We got 2 dads and no mom and just ink. 2 dads and some ink.
Please let me see him.
Eggs. Cool. Bust that pipe open now. Buzz that pipe open now, bitch. Buzz the pipe open. Thank you. Bendy. Just a pencil and a dream. Dream, 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 dream. upgrades. I ain't seen no upgrades. I ain't seen no damn. Yeah. Get down. That was rude, and that was like half my health. You bastard. The fuck. Also, I was in the vent. That was rude. So it wasn't Bendy. Just gonna do a sneaky sneak here. Excuse me. Ooh, he's coming back. Alright, so I can go get that battery now. If I could walk faster than him in these goddamn vents. I'm just gonna grab this real quick here. Grab this real quick here, and I'm gonna slink on through here. Decent chance. Decent chance for 2 dads and ink. Let him. Ooh, what is that? As long as he don't run. I saw the soup in the corner, but I don't know if the risk is worth it. If I just want to get over here as fast as possible. Yeah, 2 dads and ink. Wilson. 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 Do I need to go over there? Bitch! You bitch! That was bullshit. You can't trick me. I know a thing or two about a thing or two or things. Some things. Whoop. Maybe not other things, but some things. Sometimes. In some way. You're so clever. Ooh, why are you coming this way? Is he coming this way? Is he going that way? Up. Sneaky, sneaky, snockin', sneakin'. Sneaky dinky dee. Snooky snocka sneak. Sneaky snocka snook. Get up the fucking ledge. It's not that hard. Ooh, my gold. see a lever. I always say this can't be good for your knees, but you're ink, so I'm not ink. It's not true, remember? It's fake news. Fake news cycle breakers. Oh, I mean. Are you kidding me?
The ghosts live just beyond that door. The keeper's prison. The pit. No one ever comes out. At least, they're never quite the same.
Such a choice
I
out.
could open the door for you. I do know how. I really do.
Thank you. That would...
But first, maybe play a game? Oh, I love to play games. I like hide and seek best. Find me and I'll
What
open the
about
door for you.
instead of hide and seek, rock, paper,
Look away while
scissors?
I hide.
Wouldn't that be
And
more
no
fun
peeking.
staying in this route? It can never just be easy, huh? Ugh, I know it's a little shorter than normal, but I'm gonna end this one here because I'm really hungry. So I'm gonna go find food. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed crowd control. I intended to do it all week. I got burnt out on that shit real fast. But tomorrow is our gingerbread hand cam stream. I do not have a lot of desk space for that. So, it's gonna be interesting. Gonna be interesting. Alright, you guys are gonna go watch Zed now. Even though he's on the naughty list. Zed's somewhere else. Yeah. Alright. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Keep an eye on Blue Sky for the, time. Maybe later in the day. Probably like after dinner. Alright. Bye!